Our sponsor today is GLSA. For those non-members who may be dropping in on the call today, GLSA, or Group Legal Services Association, is an affiliate of the American Bar Association, is a professional membership organization representing the legal services plan industry and provider attorneys. And joining GLSA is just a good way for solos and small firms to increase their business. Check us out at glsaonline.org. My name is Tom Martin. I'll be your host today. In our teleconference today, we're previewing the ABA GP Solo GLSA 2018 joint spring meeting in New Orleans, where you can learn what it takes to become a law industry influencer, what access to justice issues are expected to dominate the rest of 2018, ideas for building your cultural and technological competency in the legal profession, and how to make the most of the conference's awesome field trips and social events. The conference is happening April 26th through April 28th in New Orleans, Louisiana. And remember, you can save $100 if you register before April 11th. And you can register by going to glsaonline.org and clicking on the Conference 2018 tab. So I'm very honored to have today's guests to talk about the conference and what they're looking forward to. They are all very talented and leaders in their own fields. First is Nicole Aboud. She is the moderator for using video to attract new clients, showcase your expertise, and grow your law practice. And she's also the presenter of the post-conference workshop, Podcasting for Lawyers. Nicole, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. We also have Matt Hahn, who's the panelist for how to be a successful legal plan provider attorney. Thank you for coming, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We have Jamila Johnson, who's the moderator for Sex, Culture Wars, and Solo Practitioners. Thank you for coming, Jamila. And we also have Asa Madden, who is the panelist for Client-Centered Law Firm Design. Thank you, Asa.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and we have, lastly, rounding up our group is Ibrahim Asek, the historian and guide for the Wednesday field trip. Ibrahim, are you there? Okay, well, Ibrahim will be joining us a little later on. And again, I'm Tom Martin. I also will be a presenter at the conference with Let Your Virtual Law Office Set You Free, how to so you're all standouts in what you do, and I'm thrilled to have you on the show to preview New Orleans. It's going to be amazing. So first off, let me talk a little bit about what GP Solo and GLSA are, because some people that might be calling in may not know. GP Solo is the ABA Solo Small Firm and General Practices Division. It's the national voice for solo small firm and general practice lawyers, including military and government lawyers. GLSA is the professional organization for the legal services plan industry and attorneys that work with it. So the conference in New Orleans is going to be the annual conference. New Orleans, amazing city. I just visited for the first time when I went to the Clio Cloud conference this past year, and there's so much to see and there's so much to do. It's really going to be an awesome time. There's going to be 4 days of programming, beginning with a field trip Wednesday morning and ending on Saturday afternoon with a post-conference workshop that I mentioned with Nicole. Food parties, French Quarter pub crawls, other networking events, and plenty of other things to do. There's going to be CLA presenters, some of which are on the call today, and plenty of others, including Gene Clausen of AROG, Dina Eisenberg, Sam Glover, Mary Juten, and a bunch of others. So I guess the first topic I'd like to talk about is what it takes to become an influencer in legal services. What do you see, and this is addressed to Asa and Nicole, what do you see as the 3 major qualifications for becoming a law industry influencer?
I guess I'll jump in here unless Asta, you want to take this one first?
No, you go ahead. I'll go second.
Okay. So I was just jotting down a few notes as to what it takes to become a legal industry influencer. Just some thoughts. I think the biggest one, the first one, is really being a risk taker, which is something that you don't come across too often in the legal profession. So being someone who is willing to take some risks with whatever service or product that they're creating to help advance the profession. So that's number one. Second factor is obviously being innovative. So innovative in the way you think and whatever service you want to offer. So just thinking of something that doesn't exist already, being forward thinking. And the last one is an influencer has to kind of be in touch with what's happening in the legal profession. So knowing what the realities are of what clients need and what sort of access they're not having or they don't have to the legal profession. So those are my three factors.
Well, that sounds pretty good. How about you, Nicole?
Oh, that was Nicole.
That was
Oh,
Nicole.
sorry.
No worries.
It's okay.
I'll let you go.
This is Asta, and mine are pretty similar to Nicole's when I'm engaging with people either in real life or in the virtual world. I look for three things, and my top one is being engaged and AKA being authentic. And I usually don't like using the word authentic, but I'm going to use it here and say that when someone isn't being, authentic, lawyers are so skeptical, we can spot it a mile away when somebody is trying to be someone that they're not. So I think in the legal industry, especially being an influencer, is really being true to yourself. And then my second criteria goes along with that, which is kind of going against the grain. And along with being skeptical, I think in the legal industry, we tend to appreciate people that, have the courage to stand up and say something that goes against the grain. And I think that goes with what Nicole was saying about being a risk taker. And my last thing is being in the, kind of in the cutting edge of things and engaging with those topics online and in the real world as well. So when I hear people in networking events or on Twitter talking about blockchain and how it relates to the legal industry, or talking about chatbots and things like that, I can kind of tell that they are keeping up with what's going on in the legal industry, and it makes me want to kind of hear their thoughts a little bit more.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that goes into it, and some of it I think is that there really isn't ultimately a formula for it, because
Right.
people kind of take to others, and but I think that's a really good guide to things to focus on. Well, we have a few speakers, some of which are on the call and some are going to be at the conference. What would you say amongst those speakers best embodies who is a law industry influencer?
I will jump. I'll go for it.
Okay. So this is Asta again, and I think from our speakers, I have a long list, but I'm going to start with you, Tom, and I think you definitely embody all of those things. And I can see that, when you share when you're having fun with your family, but you're also engaged and share your thoughts on new things that are coming up in the legal world or legal tech. John Grant, who is one of my co-panelists, is one of my favorite people to follow, and he really, I think has a beat on client-centric legal design and law firm design. Nick Rishwain is going to be there, and he definitely engages in a very, very engaged and authentic way online, and will share articles and a lot of his thoughts about legal industry. Nicole, who is going to speak next, I think is definitely one of the influencers, and I'm looking forward to hearing her speak also. I think that's pretty much. I'm sure I missed like at least 10 people, but that's my short list.
Well, thank you. So it's Nicole. Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm sure all the speakers are innovative and influential in their own way, and that's probably why they are the speakers at this event. So it's hard to pinpoint. I too was just going to say Nick Rishwain because I know he's super involved in legal tech and access to justice, and he's very much on top of just social media and trends and the fact that he's so supportive of others who are also trying to build services or businesses that support clients and the legal profession. I think that's what makes him really influential.
Yeah, definitely. Nick is just a great guy too. And I think another example is probably Sam, Sam Glover.
Definitely.
Yeah, also just the way you put it also is just comes across very authentic and just a real person, that you like. So is a commitment. So the next question I have about this is if there's a commitment to activism and access to justice given current affairs, is that commitment likely to open doors, do you think, to becoming a law industry influencer in 2018 and beyond? Asa?
Sure. I definitely think that it does, and I'll give a shout out to somebody I've never met, which is Gina Cho, and she is among one of many people that will encourage conversations about not just access to justice, but about other topics that we're kind of hesitant to talk about on a daily basis. That said, with other things that are happening in the legal industry, like the integration of, for example, blockchain again, and subscription-based legal services and things like that, I think the people that have a beat on what's going on with legal tech and being a legal industry influencer definitely will have a bigger platform to influence access to justice and the fact that there is a bigger need and people are voicing their need for better access to justice, I think will also open doors on the other side for influencers to walk in with new ideas. And I think new ideas for closing the justice gap will be more likely be embraced in the next few years.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gina Cho has been bringing some attention to this, and it's a good conversation to have. How about you, Jamila? What do you think? Is a commitment to activism and access to justice likely to open doors to becoming an influencer this year? Well, I think I may have lost her. So let's skip over to the next topic, which has to do with the state of access to justice in the country, as reflected in the current programming. So, what would you say are the top 3 issues defining access to justice in the United States today? Matt, if you can give your input on that.
Sure, Tom. There's a lot of issues I think that are affecting access to justice that I think that this conference really addresses, and legal plans do in general. I mean, I think cost is an issue. Cost is prohibitive, obviously. Knowledge of legal issues, as well as trust in the legal profession. I look at those 3 things as those are the 3 issues that are somewhat restricting access to justice in the United States. And that's why I'm excited to go to the conference. I think that going to this conference and getting to know other network attorneys and legal plans that are and constantly building those relationships helps build the practice, as well as looking for innovative ways to provide that access to justice to the mutual clients that we all have. But that's what I think would be my 3 issues defining access to justice.
And Matt, just if you could restate those 3 issues, because I think you cut out a little bit when you said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying the cost, knowledge of legal issues, and the trust in the legal profession. I think would be my 3 issues defining access to justice.
Well, definitely those are extremely important, and I'd like to hear from Asa too about what you think are the top 3 issues defining access to justice in the United States today.
I think I agree with Matt. I think cost is one of the biggest ones. The second big one I would say is continuity of client relationship, which is, now clients have figured out a way to get one-off services for someone to fill out their, paperwork for divorce, but they don't have a way to access help when they need answers to questions. And I think that lack of continuity is certainly a big issue that sets back our court systems quite a bit by having to correct mistakes. And I think, gosh, I just had the third one that I was thinking of. So I think I'm going to stick with those 2 for now. And if I think of my third one again, I will get back to you.
Yeah, no worries. So we have a number of access to justice
I just
programs.
thought of my third one.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
That is actually a really, really big issue, which is we have access to legal services for very, very poor people or very, very wealthy people, and there's nobody serving really, except for a handful of companies, there's no one serving the really large lower middle class to upper middle class, which is the majority of the people in the country. And I think that lack of access is pretty dire as well, and we need some attorneys at least serving that big chunk of population.
Yeah, definitely. And so we have several access to justice programs at the conference. I'd really love to know which ones you're excited about, and we can start with Matt.
Yeah, Tom, I was looking through the program recently, and there's so many of them. I mean, I narrowed down to 2, and we kind of touched on a couple of these already. Is the client-centered law firm design with Sam Glover, John Grant, and Ashta, who's on the call today. I think that's going to be remarkable, and I think that having the client-centered law firm design is going to do nothing but help with access to justice. Another one that stood out to me was I'm always looking for ways to reach clients via social media to build that access to justice. So the standout on Google, Yelp, and Facebook to attract clients by Laura Nelson. That's one that I'm excited about as well. That I think that my firm will be able to get some ideas from, and of course, in the hopes of these getting ideas that we can bring back here to help in getting clients and getting word out about our law firm and the services we provide, and hopefully, in turn, increasing that access to justice.
And how about you, Asa? What programs are you looking forward to about access to justice?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to how simple technology is bridging the access to justice gap. It's just everything is up my alley about that program, so I'm really excited for that. But 30 a.m. on Thursday, I believe. That's the one I'm super excited about for access to justice.
Cool. So there's so many to choose from. One of the challenges in attempting to create impactful access to justice programs at conferences is that you only have an hour, like you only have an hour to listen to somebody and to get value from that, and then be able to turn that around, hopefully in your own practice. What would your advice be to conference attendees hoping to get the most out of their CLEs and their experience in interacting with their profession and making it a reality? Nicole, I'd love to hear from you on this.
Sure. So I think one thing that I love doing at conferences that really enriches the entire experience, aside from the typical, obviously, taking notes and talking to the speakers and following up afterwards, is actually engaging in the conversations that are happening on social media simultaneously. So you'd be surprised at how much more, there's a whole other conference happening on Twitter usually, assuming there's a hashtag around the conference. And so not only tweeting yourself and capturing the moments of the bursts of nuggets of wisdom that you hear the speakers talking about on Twitter and sharing it with others who can't attend, but also connecting with those who are in the same room with you, who are also tweeting and engaging in that conversation. And another benefit of doing that is you actually get to relive those moments later on when you go back home and you're trying to recap your notes. There are so many times that I leave a conference, go home and look at my Instagram stories because I've captured just about all the highlights and I get to relive it. And because it's on video, I get to watch little segments of it again. So I think just make sure you're paying attention to the conversations on social media as well.
Definitely. It's kind of cool when people live tweet and you can, even if you're not at the conference, get a handle on what's going on. But definitely attending the conference is a lot better. And Matt, I would love to hear what your thoughts are about how to get the most out of those programs when there's just enough time to take it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to digest everything in an hour. I think we all, the question, you're in the middle of the session, everything's going great. Here comes some questions, they're all engaging, and then boom, hey, we got to go. We got to, another one starting in 10 minutes. And so what I do is, I attend quite a few conferences annually. I get the presenter's contact info. I love reaching out to them weeks later. You're sitting back, you're thinking of that. Man, they did talk about how I could do this on Google. Let me reach out to the presenter. Every time I've presented, I've loved it when people have reached out to me following. It makes me feel like they were actually interested in what I was presenting about. But another trick I do, and this helps me in the evenings at the social events that are planned, is I look around the room and I notice the people that are in the room with me, and I use it as an icebreaker at the social events that evening. I'll go around to people. I'll say, hey, I saw you in that session. What about when they talked about this and that? Wasn't that pretty cool? And, where you practice, what's your law firm doing? How are you going to try to utilize that, And I'll tell you, Tom, I've gotten some exceptional ideas just from doing that. And I've also got to know people that I keep in contact with, that I love seeing at the conferences, and we always catch up. But we can always, I look around the room, find the people that are into the same things I'm into, and then I seek them out that evening to kind of further discuss the session some more. So that's a trick that I use at conferences that helps me continue the information that we've gotten.
I think that's a great suggestion. Taking the information and then actually using it to strike up conversations with other attendees, it really helps to reinforce it and really expand on the ideas that were brought up during the program. Yeah. Next, I'd really like to talk about the importance of both cultural and technological competency and how the two work together. Let's take this year and last year in legal tech. What major developments in the field should conference attendees know about in order to be up to speed with tech track programs and the conference? There's a lot that's been going on, and Nicole, I know that you know a lot about this, so I'd love to start with you and hear what you think about the last year of tech and what people should be up to speed on.
Sure. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence. I don't know if I know a whole lot about this, but I'll tell you what I do know. So I really approach this from a marketing standpoint because that's my area of expertise, not so much from a practitioner's perspective. But for me, what I found really interesting or what I've seen develop over the last year in just tech in general, not just legal tech, is, chatbots. And that's something that I'm still trying to learn more about. But the notion of being able to service a client, a customer, for the most part in real time, or just be available, quote unquote, 24/7, and on your website or wherever they're engaging with you on Facebook. That development in tech excites me because that means you can provide better client service. You can have many touch points with a client before a prospective client, I suppose. So for me, chatbots and how those work and how they integrate on a website, that's what excites me. And I consider that a major development, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd agree with that, right? But Asa, I'd like to hear what you think about developments over the last year and what people should be up to speed on, or what they might look forward to learning about at the programs.
Yeah. Well, I'll say first, if you're not on Twitter and you are listening in on this call, then definitely get on Twitter, because that's the other place where conferences happen outside of the real world. So besides Twitter, which is not new at all, the three things I'll say that are really impactful that I've noticed, especially integrating with cultural competency and access to justice, I'll agree with Nicole and say chatbots and kind of leave it with that. Blockchain, once I understood what it does and how it can really integrate large amounts of data and, give outputs that are customized to your client without using a ton of manpower, which is really the downfall of a legal industry life. I'll say blockchain is a really good one. And then the last one that I want to mention is video marketing or live streaming, which I think also accomplishes quite a few things, because when someone is behind a piece of paper or behind a screen writing something, you really can't tell a whole lot about them, about their background. But with live streaming, you have access to an attorney right there on the spot, listening to what that person has to share, and also kind of getting a glimpse of where they are coming from. Whether it's ethnic diversity or other like educational diversity or whatever it is. So I think live streaming is another big one with video marketing that I want to mention here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Live streaming is something that's been a bit of a phenomena and really allows that kind of direct access to your followers and to communicate information about new developments and legal issues to potential clients. So that's fantastic. So I'd like to ask now, how do you understand the relationship between tech competency and cultural competency? And is there a relationship? Nicole, what are your thoughts?
So, the short answer is I don't understand. I don't know if many of us do, and I think that's just something that's going to develop over the next few years, and maybe we'll have a better understanding of the connection between the two. But I do think that it's interesting that with tech advancements, you would hope that there would be less bias, right? So, the various technologies that are going to emerge or that have already come out in the legal profession, you would hope that they're free from bias, whether conscious or implicit. So I don't know how that's gonna play out. Like, I don't know, maybe I just don't know enough about the way these technological systems are built, but I would hope that they do provide a more more competent, or allow lawyers to be a little bit more competent or more culturally competent in their practices.
Yeah, one would hope, and that's the promise that tech has for us. Asa, what do you think? Is there a relationship between the two, cultural competency and tech?
Absolutely, I think definitely is. Again, like Nicole said, I don't know where it's going yet, but I'll do one very specific example, which is I'm sure you saw. I think I saw you post about this. Hashtag that was recently generated by the ABA, which was hashtag My Path to Law, and the ABA encouraged lawyers to share their unique stories on Twitter, and the people that were comfortable, not me, the people that were comfortable with sharing their stories shared them, and you really got a nice glimpse of what some of your colleagues were doing before they went to law school and how they got to that point on Twitter where they were able to share those stories. And I think that was only possible because there's enough of a demand for conversations about cultural competency and diversity in the legal profession, and B, because there is enough tech competency for people to understand what the ABA was asking them to share and to use that hashtag efficiently and to create these streams of stories coming in that were so beautiful to read. So I definitely think there is a relationship, and I think that both those competencies feed off of each other, and hopefully it'll continue to blossom in the coming years.
Yeah. So that hashtag thing, it was really interesting. Like before I even decided to post my own story on there, reading up about everyone else's, I think, the tech relationship with culture is that I don't think it just wasn't possible before Twitter to have that kind of conversation between people all across the country with different backgrounds talking about, you know, their story, and to be able to share it like that was pretty amazing. And so, you know,
Right.
in a very short amount of time, um, I was able to learn a lot about other people and how much we have in common. So in some ways, it could bring us together.
Yep.
So I definitely would like to turn to the subject of culture since we're starting on that. And so the subject of culture and heritage is definitely one of the things that we're addressing at the conference, because the conference, it does coincide with the New Orleans Jazz Festival, and it the podcast is happening during this podcast is happening during Black History Month. So we're honored to have on the line Ibrahim Asek, who I hope is still with us because I know we've been talking for a while.
I'm
And
here.
Ibrahim, okay, fantastic. And you're with the Whitney Plantation Museum, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mm.
And the Whitney Plantation Museum has a focus on slavery and its history in the United States. It's one of the several sites to be visited on the Wednesday field trip to the Louisiana countryside. And there's also going to be a speedboat tour and several other historic plantations visited. So, Ibrahima, can you tell us about how to approach a visit to New Orleans as a heritage trip, the Whitney
Well,
Plantation Museum in particular?
yeah, Louisiana is very special, and New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think, most of the cultural features that are famous all around the world, and they are part of American culture now. I think were born here along the Mississippi River. When you say blues, jazz, zydeco, rock and roll, all that was born here. The culture is so unique, about we just finished with Mardi Gras, with all those parades, including the black masking Indians, also called the Mardi Gras Indians. The food is also quite special. There is nothing like New Orleans, and people fly from everywhere to visit Louisiana. And even we have now flights coming into New Orleans directly from Germany, directly from London. So it just thanks to the culture. So this river is really special, and New Orleans is special. So we are 45 minutes away from New Orleans, west of New Orleans, along the Mississippi River. The Whitney Plantation is a museum of slavery period. Let me tell you, we have so many plantations along that river that have been turned into museums for a long time ago. But unfortunately, to the noticeable exception of a plantation called Laura that was opened in 1994, where they have something about slavery in their narrative, all the other places, they have only one focus on, they talk only about the masters, the splendor of the South,
Mm-hmm.
So since John Cummings, who's also who belonged to your own profession, he's an attorney. He bought the plantation in 1999, and I met him in 2000. And at the very beginning, the goal was really clear. We had to focus on slavery, and if you don't mind, later I will tell you why we decided to focus on slavery.
I'd love to hear it now. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
For many people, slavery is just like a myth. They heard about it, but they don't know exactly what was it meant to be a slave, to be enslaved on a plantation like the Whitney. I have been to meetings with local communities along the river, and I met people, black and white, and I remember a black lady, telling to the people who were there at the meeting that she never knew that slavery existed along that river until she saw roots of Alex Haley.
Right.
But that's understandable because people are not educated about the question, the issue of slavery. There's so much knowledge about slavery in this country, but that knowledge does not really go into the textbooks to allow people to learn about it. And unfortunately, as you may know it, I mentioned the culture earlier, and most of the things I mentioned earlier were born on the plantations of Louisiana and Mississippi. When I mentioned the food, the music, and many other things, those things was born on the plantation, you know. But we have also, and more importantly, we have big issues today related to slavery. We have some people are still suffering from the legacies of slavery because there were never reparations. After the Civil War, they voted certain amendment, and that was it. People were enslaved for about 100 years. They had to face segregation, racial segregation, Jim Crow, bad schools, mass incarceration, and the poverty, the bad schools, drugs, violence. And today you see, every year you may hear once or twice black people being shot in the streets of America, just like a game. I think those are the legacies of slavery. So it is time, it is overdue that we finally teach our children about the legacies of slavery, about legacy itself, this country. And I think what the whole world also has a big problem with education. There is too much hidden history. And that's why at the very beginning, when I met John, we decided really to focus on the issue of slavery. And I encourage the members of your association who will be attending the New Orleans conference to really come. And I will personally give them a tour of the plantation and really introduce them to what was it meant really to be a slave, like on a plantation like the Whitney plantation.
Well,
does it make sense?
It makes sense, Ibrahima, and I hope they do as well. You know, there's a lot of fun things to do in New Orleans, like the social events that we have in mind, and the French Quarter, and and it's definitely something that is a fun aspect of the conference. But there's also like history and culture, and to learn more about it, I think enriches our lives, and to know where we've come from. So I really appreciate your insight into that, and I hope that they do take a visit to the Whitney Plantation Museum. So from that, there's a number of things that are at the New Orleans conference that's coming up in April, and so we have our CLE CLE programs, we have fun social events, we have an opportunity to learn more about our culture and heritage, and hear from each of you about one reason why each of you think people should sign up for this conference and all of its special events, or any of them that they can have time to make it to. And let me know what your thoughts are on that. So what's one reason for you, Matt, that you think people should sign up for the conference?
Well, I think after listening to him talk, to meet Mr. Seck, that was very impressive, and I think I want to take a tour of the Whitney Plantation Museum. Very knowledgeable. I thought it was very, very cool. I was very much interested, and I didn't want him to stop talking. I was ready for him to keep going on and on. But So that's one reason to go. But another reason that I go to the conference every year is the relationships, just to constantly build on those relationships with the network attorneys that are doing the same thing I'm doing day in and day out, looking for new ways to build our business, to build our law firm, to provide exceptional service to client, and at the same time continue to develop those relationships with the plan providers, and show the people there from RAG, from Hyatt, from all the other plan providers that that I believe in this, and that I think that legal plans are an exceptional way to get access to justice, and I'm on board, and I want to be part of it, and I want to learn more. So that's what I would say is what's going to bring me to the conference and what I'm looking forward to the most.
And how about you, Ibrahima? What is one reason that you think people should sign up for this conference and attend?
Yeah, I think beyond the topic you are going to develop here, that's your, let's say, the main thing that brings you is for work. But beyond that, I think being in New Orleans, Louisiana is something special. I think everybody knows that New Orleans is a special place. The place where many things in terms of culture started. And I think going around New Orleans and seeing all those layers of culture, not only black culture, not only the music, but also you can feel the French influences, you can feel the Spanish influences, you can feel the German influences. There are so many layers of culture that you just go walk for a mile, you see so many things around you, and I think it is worth the trip. I think I really encourage people to participate in this conference and really make the trip to New Orleans and also have fun and also, get more educated about some horrible thing that happened in the past and that we are still feeling today. But also we are grateful that despite of all those people who suffered, we have legacies. I call it the good legacies related to the culture. And it will be Jazz Fest, It will be Jazz Fest. You go around in New Orleans during Jazz Fest, that's an opportunity to see really real people and to see people from all over the world, and it is really, really fun. Even if you don't go to the fairgrounds where the festival is happening, there are so many events all around town. I think it is worth the trip.
Yeah. Definitely, and I'm so excited to go and to the last time I was there, I felt like I just scratched the surface of New Orleans, and I'm looking forward to learning more about everything there. Nicole, I'd love to hear what you think is one reason why people should attend the GLSA GP Solo Conference coming up.
Well, I think as someone who's planning 2 of the workshops there, I can tell you that the conference, the workshops, the seminars are going to be very immersive and hands-on and provide a lot of practical knowledge to the attendees. So it's not just you attending a session and listening and then taking notes and hoping that you remember it, but you're going to be immersed in what's being taught, and hopefully you're going to leave just knowing a few things that you didn't know coming in.
Definitely. There's a lot to learn, and hopefully everyone who attends has an opportunity to take all of it in, as well as some of the great events we're going to have. Asta, what's one reason for you that people should attend?
Yeah, I think there is something for everyone at this conference, and that is what's unique about it, that if you are not the type of person that just likes to be holed up in a conference room all day or, a ballroom all day, there's, kind of hands-on cultural experiences and discussions and the ability to access program administrator or plan administrators directly. So I think there is something for everyone. There's no reason for any solo or small firm attorneys not to attend.
I definitely agree. I mean, from my point of view, like I mentioned, I'd gone to New Orleans at the end of last year I'd never been there before. And yes, the CLE programs and all of that, the educational stuff, it's fantastic. But also seeing the city was just, um, um, there's just so many layers of cultural influence, of people, of food, of music, and it's everywhere. And it's a delight to walk down the street and be able to experience all of that, and then to meet like-minded people from the conference to explore the topics that we've learned about is a great opportunity. So I guess the one reason why I would recommend it to people is that um, it's unique, and it's a trip to a fantastic city with fantastic people who are really interesting and like-minded. So I would definitely give it a thumbs up and hope everyone who's listening to this does attend. So let me just recap a little bit about the conference. It is 4 full days of programming from Wednesday to Saturday. There's going to be food, parties, French Quarter, all of that. There's also, the Whitney Plantation Museum, where there's a great opportunity to learn more about our culture and heritage. And CLEs abound on practically any topic that you could think of, from tech to access to justice to how to run your law firm as a business and be more profitable. There's also off-site educational programs that allow you to explore the vibrant New Orleans community and to enjoy adventure travel in the Louisiana countryside. And there's of course the opportunity to meet other attendees and maybe strike up a friendship, maybe a business referral relationship. Who knows? But it's also wonderful to keep in touch with everyone that you meet after the conference. So I want to thank all of our speakers for helping out today. Thank you all for chipping in.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you.
All right. Let me just give a quick check for any questions here. Oh, and we do have one from John Waxman. He said, will attorneys have an opportunity to speak with legal plan administrators? And I'm so glad you asked that, John. Yes, there will be private appointments allowing you, the lawyers, to meet with administrators from new and familiar legal plans and to solicit their advice on growing your business through the legal plan network. So there's definitely the opportunity to strike up those business relationships as well. And so with that, I just want to thank you all for sharing your time and thoughts today. And before we close, though, I would like to know how people can keep in touch with you, starting with Nicole. How can people keep in touch?
You know what? Let's go with Twitter since I talked it up so much. My Twitter handle is at Nicole Aboud, and so that's ABBOUD. And follow me during the conference. I'll be tweeting.
All right. And Asa, how about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook with the same handle. It's Madan Law, MADAANLAW, and I can be found on all social media channels with that handle.
Thank you. And Ibrahima, if people want to keep in touch with you, how would they do that? Do you have a Twitter account?
No, I don't have a Twitter account, but people can contact me through our website, whitneyplantation.com. You will see like a window that says contact us, and you'll see my email there. Yeah. No
All
problem.
right, great. So people should go to the Whitney Plantation Museum website and use the contact to keep in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. And Matt, how can people keep in touch with you after?
Yes,
after this?
I unfortunately gave up social media for Lent. It probably wasn't the smartest thing to do right before this conference, but So the best way to reach me now is through our website, bowmanlaw.com with a B, BOLEMAN law.com. And also my email is mrhahne, so that's mrhahne, and that's at bowmanlaw.com. So email is a great way to contact me. I usually respond to those by close of business. So.
All right, perfect. And if anyone wants to keep in touch with me, my Twitter handle is Lawdroid, and I'd love to hear from you. So again, the ABA GP Solo GLSA 2018 Joint Spring Meeting in New Orleans is happening April 26th through April 28th. Please don't miss it. If you haven't registered yet, you need to register now by going to glsaonline.org, and you just click on the tab in the upper right-hand corner, I believe, for the 2018 conference, and you could register. Also, remember, you could save $100 if you register before April 11th. So please visit glsaonline.org today to register. Thank you all for speaking today. Again, this is Tom Martin, and I want to thank GLSA for sponsoring this program. Remember, joining GLSA is just a good way for solos and small firms to increase their business. Check us out at glsaonline.org. I hope to see you all at the conference. Bye.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye.